super excited to have two of the coolest people in the podcast. And Clinton B, thank you so much for making time, especially driving for half an hour all the way to the studio for this podcast makes me feel very honored. And look, I have to be extremely grateful to Clinton as well, because I've had this amazing friendship with Clinton for so many years. When I think about it, it's close to 8-9 or how long, I don't know, because you have known me right from my transformation days and all that.
Yes.
And yeah, it's
First of all, it's great to see you, Chandan.
Yeah.
I think you and Bianca are interacting for the first time.
Yes, we are.
But
Lovely to meet you.
yeah,
Likewise,
and
thank you.
Chandar was always been inspirational on the fitness front, because he's a fitness fanatic now, and he used to be
Oh,
double his size. He used to be 130 kilos or something.
107 or something, yes.
100, but yeah, but
maybe
he
you
was,
should have asked him if it was okay to reveal that. I don't know if he's revealed that to his.
no, he has.
Yeah, it's public.
It's public knowledge. Okay.
And he's now a he does like marathons all the time.
Yeah, life
10K,
changed.
and he's
Wow.
like a proper cycles like does these ultra marathon cycle. I mean, he's like one of those guys whose life has been changed by fitness, and I will always keep asking him to for
To
some
give you
fitness tips.
Wow, that's amazing.
No, but the
Kudos
thing is,
to you.
I found it inspirational. It's both ways, right? Because it's very inspiring for Clinton to have taken up that journey too. I still remember those conversations where he was in the journey, lost a lot of weight, and changed his diet, and that used to push me to, hey, Clinton just finished a workout. He's eating the right stuff. Okay, don't cheat. You go for a run now. These are the type of things that would push me.
Wow, Clint actually inspired you.
Somebody else for fitness? Yeah, that's like
I'm in shock.
I'm also in shock. I mean, least of all you, I would think that you inspire so many people. So it's
Oh wow!
Thank you
But
so much,
That's
man.
amazing how you've turned your life around. I mean, it's a healthy living now. That's
Life changed because when I think back, I mean, when I was overweight and stuff, I was a super introverted guy. I probably wouldn't have never organized a session like this. I wouldn't have spoken. I wouldn't have turned on my camera. So that was me in the past. Super introverted. But life changed once and for all.
I know, and look at you now. That's amazing.
Thank you. And of course, the Beamer chat and stuff like that. And that.
we are both Beamer addicts.
Oh, okay.
That's
You have an X6, right?
No, I have the X5 and the 530D.
Oh wow, nice.
So you have the Z4, right?
Z4.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a Toyota. Let's move on. Let's move.
No judging there. Right, and guys, congratulations, Unforgiven, handpicked by Metallica. My goodness, what an amazing achievement! I'm really pumped to ask you guys about it. How did it all go? I mean, were you super nervous first of all to create something like that? And then how did you go about? Obviously, you were under some sort of a pressure to deliver something like that, right? I've heard it heaps of times, and I absolutely love it.
Oh,
And I
thanks.
also wanted to know what was the kind of thought process in terms of even bringing in Vishal into the mix to make that track happen. So yeah, if you want to share some thoughts.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much. So glad that you like our version. Yes, it was a massive shock when Clinton told me about the project. I was in complete disbelief for the first 5 minutes. I was like, what? Really? Us? Metallica? What? But because that's a band that we've all grown up on. And it was like a surreal suggestion to even think that we could come up with something that
only
would
because, the
that they were
band-
going to listen to.
Yeah, the band was going to make the final decision as to
Yeah.
who the artists are
Yeah.
and who the song, whether the song makes it to the project. And Devraj, the chairman and president of Universal, when he contacted us for the project, he said that, guys, it's a long shot because there are 60 countries that are sending in entries.
Wow.
But this is the only version from India that I am going to send. So I really believe that we can crack this. And when he had that kind of confidence and faith, and when we called him in for the first listening of just the idea, we didn't even have Vishal's dub at that point. Because B had sung it, and in her voice, and it was just a germ of an idea, and he heard it instantly. He loved it. He said, I think we can, we can definitely go in this direction. And then getting Vishal was something we thought of because he's like the quintessential rocker, right?
I mean, think of anyone else that would bring that kind of vocal to the song.
Yeah.
And then Divine also felt organic, because if you're gonna offer something different, then what can we offer that's so current, that's so relevant? And Divine's hard-hitting rap, it also has the angst that matches the angst of Metallica in 2021, in a very different, from a very different perspective. So that was it seemed like a no-brainer.
Amazing. I've had a number of your fans message me saying, okay, please do ask them about this track. And so obviously your fans love it.
So happy.
Congrats again. It's amazing. I mean, I've heard it myself. It's absolutely cool. And also one of the other recent releases, Someone's Watching Over. And Clinton, I did read your post, mixing and mastering for AR's track. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. I mean, more specifically about, look, personally, I love the track. The community loves the track. And it's amazing. It's hit like 11 or 12 million or something like that. Super cool. I love it. And what I wanted to know was, did you have to do anything different from a mixing and mastering perspective because of AR's involvement in it?
Right. Actually, yes and no, I would say, because the funny thing was that, of course, we were really happy to be doing this for Nexa, first of all, and AR wanted Anushka, Bianca, and me to be part of his song.
Yeah.
And I think that it happened quite organically, because after we had recorded, so Anushka also came to my studio and recorded her vocals, and then B and I, of course, we dubbed on the same day.
Yeah.
And I literally just sent those files to AR dry.
Right.
Just completely dry. I didn't even process them. Just send the vocal files, just send the session to his engineer. And AR called me that night. He was in a great mood. He was one of his tech. Like we really bond on tech stuff, because from the time I first started going to Chennai in the 90s, I remember when I was not even programming on Logic in those days. I was programming on hardware. I used to program on the XP80 and whatever. And in those days when I went to Chennai, he had like 14 Macs. 14 Macs, huh? And you're an Apple fan, so you know what 14 Macs are. That in the 90s, I'm talking about like in 97.
Insanely expensive. Yes.
So, insane. I was like, what? He has 14 Macs? It's crazy. So, we used to bond over gear, that right from those days, because AR would always buy 3 of everything. He would not believe in buying 1. So every time if there was something new coming out, he would be like a kid, and he would be like, have you seen the new EMU 6400 or like E4 Ultra or whatever? And he would not buy 1, he would buy 3. So 1 for the first floor studio, 1 for the Panchatan, before the new building came up and all in Panchatan. He would buy 3. He would buy 1 for the top studio, 1 for the bottom studio, and 1 for the traveling case, just in case he needs it while he's on the road. While he's on the road. So it was like being in Chennai at that time was like it was like a party. Yeah. So he was in one of those kind of moods when he called me that night, the night that we sent him all our vocals.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I love the recordings. The recordings are so fat and so full, and like this thing is just, what mic are you using, and what recording chain, what preamp are you using? And so I was like, listen, I mean, like, you guys, you have the best stuff in your studio. Like, you're asking me what mic I'm using. So I mean, it was pretty. It was amazing. I was honored for sure that AR likes the way things were recorded at the Groove Room, and just the recording chain, and then we just started talking about gear for the next like half an hour, and like just generally about life and many things. He was in one of those kind of moods, and he's like, "You want to mix this track over?"
Yes.
So I said, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to mix it. I mean, why not? Yeah, mix it. You mix it because it'll. I think you put something really interesting interesting on it." And
Yeah.
so of course, from that point of view, I did need to do something different because it was AR. I'm mixing for AR for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I told myself that he called me and asked me to mix because he likes what we've been doing at the Groove Room, and he also mentioned that about Shor Police. He's been following our stuff also.
Yeah.
He's amazing, and we've always been keeping him abreast of it because copy B and I just send him an email, and he will send one or two words.
Yeah, he's a man of very few words.
Yeah.
Or an emoji, thumbs up, rose.
Yeah, right. That's all. Correct.
So if he says one word, it means
it's great. It's
the
awesome.
world.
Yeah, it means awesome. So the thing is that he's been aware of what we've been doing at the Groove Room as well. Just from a technical standpoint, we try to keep our quality really high when it comes to mixing, and I mean just plugins and everything that we're using at from a tech perspective. And that's why I said that I'm not going to do anything different. How I would normally I just need to be me and just try and and the best part is that when I sent it to him, he said sounds nice and integrated.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like that's the best. So now I'm trying to think of what does he mean by integrated, like you know what I mean when AR says it sounds but he really liked it. He really
So
loved it.
cool.
He wouldn't put anything out if he wasn't absolutely happy with it, and that's the best part. Like when you don't hear from him, it's great news.
Correct.
Because I remember when I used to be working in Chennai sometimes, he was so busy at that point in like the early 2000s as well, and I was also getting really, really busy in Bombay. So there would be times where I would not have the opportunity to really meet him because you would be on a very, very tight time budget. I would literally take the afternoon flight. I would head to the studio. I would finish the song. Sometimes AR would be in London, or he would be, even if he was in Chennai, he would be busy doing something else. So I would just grab a studio that was free and I would put whatever production parts I needed to put on the song. I would call some backing vocalists. Sometimes I call a guitar player, or call different people in to just embellish the song the way I felt it would be. And when I was kind of happy with it, I would just take the flight and come back home. I would not even meet him. Wow. And and then so that's the kind of trust that we used to have, so that he just knows that I'm going to come in. And I would sometimes ask the engineer, or Shiva was there, Shiva Kumar was there. I would ask him, did he say what he wants on the song? And Shiva would be like, no man, I don't know. He just asked me to play you the song. So whatever you want to do it would. So I would just think about what the song requires and just add those elements in.
Yeah.
From my perspective, and then he would use some of them. He would not use some of them. He would then take it and and in his own time, and I would not even know about it until the song would finally release. And then or the next time I would meet him, I would say, hey, did you hear that? Did you hear the other session that I did last month? 3 weeks ago or something. Yeah, it was really good. It's already gone. It's already been delivered. So then it's if he doesn't contact you, it means it's great. He really likes it.
True. And but is this track someone's watching over? Is it going to be released on the streaming platforms or what? Because this is something that I've been asked a few times by the fans.
It's already out.
It's on streaming.
On streaming?
No, I don't know what's actually.
That's the thing. I don't think it is because I look for it too, and it's obviously available on YouTube. And then
of course. I just assumed actually it was on streaming.
We should find out.
But it's a good thing you mentioned.
It's such a cool track.
Yeah, it is. It really is, and it's so typical AR. In everything that he does, he just puts his mark on it and his stamp on it. So even if it has this complete pop sound, you just know it's him because there'll be these little sections in the song that are just so him.
Yeah, indeed. It's a cool
That's
track.
what I
I
love.
love it. And then,
Yeah.
look,
No
there are a
matter
bunch
what
of other
genre.
tracks that I absolutely love as well. Look, I'm going to get into those. But before that, yourself as a band, I'm just curious to know because number one is you're so busy with your own individual lives as well. And secondly, now forming a band. And then, what does a jamming session look like? That's number one. And then, secondly, how do you go about with resolving, if I can use that word, with creative debates and things like that? So, and who wins over whom, and how do you arrive at a balance? I know it's too many questions in one,
But it's
but
lovely.
just wanted to get your thoughts. That's all.
Yeah, I think we don't have a specific format in which we work in, which is, it's not like we start with lyrics, although there has been one time that we did start with lyrics. But other than that, if we're both feeling inspired to create something in a particular that has a specific mood, then that's the first step. If we decide, okay, we'd like to write this kind, like an electronica kind of track, or we'd like to write like a grungy kind of track, or that kind of thing. So then we get on the same page in terms of the mood, and then it's just about coming up with a phrase, or sometimes he'll come up with a groove, and then I'll have this melodic idea. So there's no rule book, or there's no particular format that we follow.
I'll come up with a groove, and most often she'll change it. Like 9 out of 10 times she'll change the groove, but I really like her sense of rhythm is really unexpected. That's the thing. I mean, you kind of get into certain patterns as a music producer especially when you've been a producer as long as I have.
Yeah.
And been a session musician and been someone who's used to delivering things so quickly that you kind of tend to trust the first couple of ideas that come to your head, and you form your pet patterns and your pet kind of modalities in your head when you relate to music, and you relate to a groove, or you relate to sounds and how they should be put down. So
because you've been used to working on your own.
Yes,
all these
exactly,
years.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the thing is that the minute I do that, I'm pretty sure as to how something should actually go.
Right.
And the thing is that I'm also sure of what can't be done as a producer because of certain because of the technical knowledge that it arms you with over the years. But the thing is that she kind of disrupts that. So if I say that no, this can't be done, it just like, so she'll be like, why? And I never thought about why, I just know that it can't be done. But then I think, actually, no, let's try it anyway. It may be from a technical standpoint wrong to do it that way.
Yeah.
But when I actually do give it a shot, sometimes it actually really works, and it kind of opens my head out.
Yeah.
So I do realize there's a...
I also think that the flip side of that sometimes is that I will not be able to see, because I've not been doing this for as long as he has. Sometimes I won't be able to see what the outcome is of an idea that I've suggested, like maybe 5 steps down the line, whereas that's something that he would yes. Or even on a mixing level, sometimes he would do certain things, and I would say, somehow I can't hear the voice too bright as I wanted to, or I can't hear a particular instrument. And then because of the amount of mixing that he's done and the production that he's done in his life, he'll do certain things that will change the sound, that will change the outcome of the way an instrument is sounding. And it'll just be like, oh, okay, now I know why you've been doing this for as long as you've been doing it.
Yeah.
And so there's certain things that I needed to also learn. I mean, I think both of us have learned from each other since the beginning of Shor Police. There's so much to learn. Because
and also to come to your first question, which is why Shor Police when we had our individual careers, and I would say that for me, I think that when I kind of got really popular with Coke Studio and stuff.
Yeah.
It's over the years after Coke Studio, I kind of became this fusion guy, and it was like a fusion identity that I kind of had very strongly. And I was always a pop guy, actually, if you think about it. I mean, some of the like Bollywood tracks like BD Jalale and Dil To Bacha Hai Ji. They all like pop songs, and if you think about it, um, I kind of I was a part of that kind of those kind of tracks, and also for AR, I did a lot of pop.
Yeah.
But I don't think that anything it stuck as much as Madari stuck when it came to my name. So I became this synonymous with this fusion Coke Studio kind of sound, and it reached a point where I wanted to break out of that as well, and I just felt that when we were writing with Ananthaal, which was a very, again, another fusion thing. It was kind of an offshoot of Coke Studio, I would say, in a way, and in which I was able to explore more the jazz side of things, and almost jazz fusion. I did a lot of writing in Ananthaal myself, and B was just kind of just coming into the studio at that time more to sing the tracks with Ananthaal, and that's when, because she had some free time, we would sit and try and jam a little bit and put ideas down and stuff, and that's when I realized that her sensibility was really, really different from mine, but really complementary in many ways.
Right.
So that's when I said, why don't we do something that's completely different from Ananthaal? Let's just do a duo thing, and it was just it became,
because also I think like over the years we've realized that our sensibilities are quite like similar in that way when it comes to the kind of music that we've grown up on. And I think we realized it during Ananthaal also, that there was a kind of synergy that was worth exploring as a duo. So I mean, I think we're, and also now to address your your question about the who wins the
that's it. That's a good one.
The battle. I don't think, I mean,
but it does turn into a battle many times.
It does. I mean, we don't always agree. We don't always agree, but I think the reason why it works is because, I mean, Clinton is really amazing that way. Even though he's been doing this for so many years, he's still so open-minded about a new idea, which is something that, I mean, which is what helps a working relationship and makes it healthy, because I mean, he's been doing this for so long, he could just be like, no, I don't think this is going to work, and it's not worth exploring or whatever. But the reason why it does work is because I could make a ludicrous suggestion and he'll explore it, and vice versa. I'll also think, no, that sounds like a really, I don't know about that, but then we have to give each other the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes even if it means like changing the tempo at the when we're halfway through the composition, or changing the key of the song. It's some crazy suggestions we've come up with.
Things that would mean we'd have to start over, and we've done that many times. Sometimes we've gone down a route, and we spend 3 days working on an idea, and then we like come back the 4th day and be like suddenly not excited by it. Or or maybe she's still excited by it, but I'm not excited by it. So she has to give me the benefit of the doubt at that time and say, okay, let's change it. Let's explore something else, and I do the same. But at the same time, I mean, there are times when either of us will like kind of really flex our muscle and say, listen, I think it should be this way, or and sometimes I would say, like, I don't care, I think it should be this way, and then maybe 8 hours later she'll actually think, oh yeah, you were right. She'll suddenly
it'll grow on me.
Actually, yeah, you were right. That idea really worked.
But I guess that's the key to keeping that working relationship
I suppose.
healthy.
It's the conflict that leads to a better result, right?
Indeed. And look, also as an extension to the stuff that you just described, how do you channelize the energy into creativity? Like with all the shits that we get with dealing with life on a daily basis, how do you channelize that energy, and then how do you remain in that, how do I call it, the Zen state? Produce something cool.
I mean,
by eating Japanese food.
No, but I think as songwriters, it's important to also use whatever is going on in your life and use the emotions that you're experiencing. And one of the biggest, and most special songs actually that we've written was during the pandemic, when we wrote the song called We Took It All for Granted. It was just
amazing vocals in it. I absolutely love it. You did
Thank you.
So glad you're familiar with it.
Thank you so much. And it was exactly that. We were all going through, I mean, the whole world was going through these emotions. And Clinton came up with these lyrics because, again, it was different because we usually come up with the musical idea first and then move to lyrics. But this time he just had these lyrics and because it was what he was going through.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know if this is going to be worth anything, but I just put it down and let's see what we can do. And I think I called him up in like an hour.
Yeah, I just sent it to her. Like I literally woke up in the morning and I had these thoughts in my head and sometimes they just flow. I just opened my notes on my iPhone and I just like vomited out these thoughts. In a way, because it was just like flowing. Literally, I wrote those lyrics in like 15-20 minutes, literally, the whole song. And they were just lyrics. I didn't have any idea of a meter and all that.
Right.
And I sent it to her in an hour or something. She like messages me and says, I have a melody for this. And she composed the whole song like pretty much to verbatim to those lyrics. There were no changes required. It was just one of those things that it was like just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and it wasn't even something. It wasn't something that I wanted to overthink also because it was a really emotional song.
And we couldn't meet in those days. Huh? Those days we could not meet.
It was.
We were locked.
That is true.
It was on Zoom.
We were meeting on Zoom because we were locked in our respective homes.
Correct.
So
I just literally like sang the whole. I mean, I sang the lyrics out loud. It was like that. I said, let me just see what's the first, like instinctively, what is the first thing that comes out of my mouth when I read these words? Because the words are so powerful. So I didn't want to get into that space where I overthink it and then it becomes technical. I wanted to retain the emotion of those lyrics. So it was just, I think it was really organic. It was the first time that we actually didn't sit down and say, okay, now we have to come up with a melody for this. It really happened so naturally and organically, which I'm happy about because I mean that's why the song comes across the way it does. That's why people feel something. I mean,
for sure.
That's
another thing I have to mention at this point is the lovely video that this boy here, Rene, show yourself to the camera. Rene came up with a really amazing video.
That's Rene.
Rene is a part of the Groove Room and also Vaden as well. Vaden, just one quick hi to everybody. But these boys do a lot of the video work I mean, for YouTube and everything. And so Rene actually came up with this idea of the lyrics.
Yeah.
Just a lyric video, but it was almost like the lyrics were the people on those empty streets. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have people. There was isolation, and there was, those iconic streets like Broadway and places like stadiums, where you used to sing a lot of people usually. You see no cars, you see no people, and you just see these lyrics which are kind of just standing in place of those people, right?
Yeah.
It's very stark and it paints a very stark image.
Yeah, it's a reminder of everything that we had that we now miss.
Yeah, indeed. It's a cool track. I love it, and I also absolutely love your other track, Anjana, as well. That I think that's my most favorite one. Anjana is cool.
Thank you so much.
I love that one.
Yeah, in fact, we should release a lot more singles than we do, frankly.
Yeah, that's the plan this year.
We are too caught up with doing work for brands and doing work for film stuff, but we don't get enough time to actually give our Shor Police fans more music, more Shor Police music.
Yeah, but the plan this year is definitely to release more singles of original stuff.
Either that or just do an album.
Yeah, I think you should. And also, Calling Your Name is a pretty cool track.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, what I'll do is I'll create a playlist and add it as a link in the description of this podcast.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that would be great.
And look, maybe you both can provide your thoughts on this. What I would like to know is, of course, look, when in terms of the creative process to, let's say, to come up with a song, let's say Calling Your Name, I'm just making it up. It can be any track. Weeks and months of effort goes into creating that track, right? And then it comes out. So either it's a hit or it takes the slow and steady approach to climb up the ladder in terms of the views. I'm not really going by the number of views or anything, don't get me wrong. But what I'm keen to know your perspective is, how do you cope up with challenges out in the industry, as for example, with in terms of months of effort has gone into creating a track, and then it takes a while, either it's instant, and then now in the current trend, short form stuff is like more like an instant hit, like things like anything under 30 seconds goes in millions. And
Yes.
so I'm just trying to get your thoughts on how do you see it.
Uh, yeah, I think that honestly, the industry is moving faster than most people can
Yeah.
process. So you can either take the slightly bitter approach, which a lot of musicians tend to do. They tend to kind of get bitter about stuff and start bitching about the kind of music that's out there and the kind of music that people are liking and the kind of entertainment that people are liking. Or you can just jump on the bandwagon and say, listen, if this is what's hot right now, how can I be a part of this? How can I be a part of this game? How can I catch the same bus?
Yeah.
And how can I make it relevant to work for me?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, really, really the key, to stay relevant, to stay, otherwise you find yourself to be like a musical dinosaur very soon. If you don't, if you try to fight it all the time.
I mean, Clint, on that note, I feel that it's really, I really admire that about you also, because you've gone through so many phases in your life. And this, I think, is the most unexpected. If anyone has been following Clinton's journey, musical journey, they know that this is the most unexpected route that you would take.
Yes.
Which would be, electro pop.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I guess it's about kind of reinventing yourself also, and figuring
Also, I
out
think
what's...
it's about not feeling like you don't know enough. That's the main thing. I remember before we kind of started working, I was doing Ananthaal and I was enjoying making that music.
Yeah.
But I knew it was music. I knew it was music that
Yeah.
I can make. I can figure that out. If I, or even my earlier influences like Seal and Stevie Wonder and all, when I hear those tracks, okay, I can break them down in my head like a track sheet, literally. Like I mean, as I'm hearing the song, I know exactly how this was done, how that was done, and but then when she kind of was listening to a lot of the music that she was listening to, which was like down the top 40 stuff and artists like Zed and music that kind of suddenly felt different, felt so modern and felt so now. And when you try to do it, it sounds easy on the face of it, but when you try to sit on your workstation and make those same sounds, make them pop and make them slam, then you realize, hey man, it's not as easy as it looks. People who work on Ableton and whatever, you think that, oh, they're just DJs, or they probably don't know much about music.
Yeah.
But boy, you can be wrong about that. You will be surprised at how difficult some of that stuff is to achieve. And I said, you know what, this is something I really don't know. This is something that's really new and exciting to me. And where she was coming from, the stuff that was in her head was like really interesting. And I was like, wow, I mean, I want to like, let's go down this route and see where it takes us. And then the best part was AR actually spotted that too. And when we did a Kyuki had a we had just finished the
Right.
no, not arrived. We had finished Nexa. We had just finished composing the songs, and some of the songs were released. And Kyuki had a party at Soho House because AR was there, and they wanted everyone, all the
It was
people.
after we'd written the 3 songs for Anushka Manchanda and Nikhil D'Souza and
Yes.
Uday Benegal.
Yeah, and so they were hosting a party for him and for all of us, and he hadn't met Bianca actually, and so he really loved Nikhil's song, and so he came up to me and he said, "Man, who composed that song? Did you compose it?" Like, so I said, "Well, I did compose it, but I composed it with Bianca." And he let me meet her. Like, he was like really, because I guess he knows my sound.
Yeah, he's known you for years.
For many years. He knows how I think musically and whatever. And he met her and he said, like, man, I can see you guys when we write together, there's something different about it.
Wow.
And he was like really happy to have met her, and he asked us both if we can write compose something for Ameen, for his son.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, we've been trying to. I mean, we've been meeting Ameen on WhatsApp and
Yeah.
communicating, and that'll happen at some point.
Yeah, but I
I'm
mean,
getting fitness advice, by the way, Clinton, on WhatsApp.
Ameen,
Yeah, from me.
you? Oh,
oh,
amazing.
really?
Super. See, there you go. Fitness advice.
Wow.
You open your own fitness brand now.
He's basically checking, okay, hey, I'm looking at this meal plan. What do you think?
Oh my gosh.
Lovely, lovely. Correct.
Oh,
The right
he's-
person to ask.
He's so sweet. He's so
Ameen,
sweet.
yeah, Ameen is sweetheart.
He's a darling.
So how's that coming up? When can we expect?
I just think that like it's up to Ameen actually. The thing is that he's a little
I mean, I think he has to.
slightly more introverted side sometimes.
Yeah. He has to find his sound also as
And open up.
an individual and open up. Yeah. So
It'll happen.
yeah, it'll happen in due time. But yeah, an absolute honor for AR to love our work. It's just he's just
And
just-
indeed, and you know that he means every single word he says.
exactly because he would not have said it. He didn't.
He didn't need to. He could have just
He
like,
really
spoken
didn't
about
need to.
something else, whatever.
Yeah.
But he didn't need to like ask to meet her and
Yeah.
say that that this is he really likes our sound and everything. So it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, feel really honored and
Yeah,
blessed.
totally.
So we always keep him in the loop. Whenever we have a release, we send him just an email with the link and like for him to hear it. I don't expect him to be following us on social media or whatever. So I know he's not going to hear it that way.
Yeah.
I know he's going to hear it. If I send him an email, then I know he will take the time to hear it, and he does hear it. Like
He
even
always replies.
when we did our John Mayer gig, we did a gig where we did the songs of John Mayer, and I sent him that also, and he heard that also. Really sweetly replied and really loved it. Really loved it. I was like, he actually takes the time to hear our stuff, which is great.
He does.
Yeah,
So, what's the way forward, Clinton? How do you see the future of music? Right now, we are in a certain trend. Could be a fad, but what's in the future? As yourself, as a music producer, composer, and everything else that you do,
Right.
where do you see it going?
I think that in some respects, it's almost very cyclic. It keeps going back, right? I mean, you see The Weeknd, you see John Mayer's new album, Sob Rock.
Yeah.
You see trends that that you think are just going away, and then they keep coming back in a different way, in new avatar. First, Bruno Mars did it with Uptown Funk when he brought back That Sly and the Family Stone and those kind of bands, Tower of Power. He brought that kind of sound back in a very modern context. Now John Mayer's doing a Toto kind of revisit in a sense, because it's so, some of the songs are very Toto. I hear Mark Knopfler in his solos, I hear Eric Clapton in his solos, and of course he's got the great Greg Gaines on keys. So he says, why should I get somebody to do a Greg Gaines? Why not just get Greg? So that's why the sound of that album is so like you've heard it before, but yet it's new.
Yeah.
So I think that music is always a cyclic thing, just like trends are in fashion. In the world of fashion, things they keep going in, they keep coming back. I think I see the same thing happening with music, but I love also the way that artists are, pushing the boundaries, especially music producers these days. The kind of production you're hearing on some pop records is just stellar. Just is really something else. And like Dua Lipa is a case in point. I just love what Ian Kirkpatrick did with all her songs on Future Nostalgia.
Yeah, and again, that sound is also very 70s disco and that whole So
exactly.
music is doing a full.
But yeah, there's so much taste in how they combine the old with the new and mix it very new, but yet the sound and the elements are so old, right? In their origin.
Right. And I also wanted to get your thoughts on something. So as part of the creative process, you together, when you work on something, how do you make yourself conscious not to repeat something that you've already done? How do you actually remember that? Okay, let's say this part you've already done it in a track.
That's a very good question, frankly.
And I'm just curious, like, how do you remember? Because you've worked on thousands and thousands of tracks in your own journey, and then you are in a band now, and whole bunch of tracks as part of the band. And then how do you remember all these bits? Because, yeah, I'm just curious. That's all.
I mean, I think that now when we are writing together, there's, as it is an instinctive kind of, I would say, a mutual respect for each other's ideas. And there are times when I will not know, but she will say, hey, this sounds really close to something, maybe not necessarily that we did, but something that we are inspired by.
Right.
Or even that,
Yeah.
And that's one thing about her. She's got this thing of this ability to hear 2 bars of a song, and not even 2 bars, like 4 beats of a song, and know what song it is from the stuff that she's grown up on, like the 80s music and all that. Like tons of songs. You can just play like ta-da-da, and she'll know it's like it's that song.
Yeah,
That's
if there was a contest, I'd be really good at that.
Yeah. She'll
Name this song in
name
the
the
first.
song. Name the song like
in the first 5
fastest
seconds.
finger first.
Yeah.
She would be the
Fastest
one.
finger first for songs.
She would win every round. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Before you can even process the song, she's figured out the song, and like she's on to the next thing. So I mean, if there's an
I'm
idea,
the first one, basically.
if there's an idea that we've kind of done before and whatever, most often she'll kind of spot it before we have the chance to develop it, and before we execute it fully. It's harder for me because I think that my head is always swimming with a bunch of things and a bunch of ideas that I don't realize often that, oh, okay, I've expressed this in a different way, and so most often she'll kind of flag it early enough, so we don't go down that road to like, we've not gone too far down that road, and we have to waste a lot of time retracing.
So far we haven't been in that predicament where we've felt like we've repeated ourselves. But yeah, I mean, it is eventually it will start becoming a little bit of a struggle to kind of stay. And I think everyone goes through that. Like some of the biggest musicians have to reinvent themselves and make sure that they don't repeat themselves, and the music doesn't sound stale. So I think we all have to do that. Like, it's a
you have
worldwide kind of
patterns,
issue.
right? Everyone has a pet patterns. And
Melodically, musically, like everything, so we can sort of fall into that rut sometimes. So but I think also giving yourself enough time between like creations, like when you're writing, that also helps with creating new ideas in your mind. It could kind of keep the staleness at bay.
No, I'm always intrigued with this because, like, I always keep wondering, how do you remember that? Okay, I've done this there. I shouldn't be repeating here, but yet get creative, yet make it sound new, and yet make it go and reach to the masses. So it's not an easy spot you guys are sitting there and doing, because I feel that we guys as music listeners are so very much lucky to be able to listen to all the cool stuff that you guys create, and don't have to go through the struggle that you guys are going through.
The pressure of not sounding like your last record.
And not just that, I feel that people don't know the 8-10 ideas that we ourselves reject before they see the idea that we actually present to them.
That's true.
For every idea that we actually present, there's a lot of stuff that we ourselves have bounced, or we ourselves have not put forward. There's so much of that kind of stuff as well, which sometimes it would work really well in a different context.
Yeah, for sure. Amazing. I always find it very inspiring to hear stories like this, because it pushes me in my daily life too, right? Not necessarily from a music sense, but more from the thought process perspective, like not to repeat something, stuff like that. That's all. Right, slightly moving away, ARR related stuff. So B, I'll start with you. What comes to your mind? ARR.
Fascinating.
Is it a one-word answer?
No, it can be no, as many as you.
That is what comes to mind, because every time you hear something that he's created, it is always different. But like I said, there is this AR-ness about it, about every song that he creates, that is just so him. But it's just every song that he creates is kind of like, I always feel like a journey. He just takes you on this beautiful journey. There'll be something so unexpected just when you think that, isn't that his typical AR? Unexpectedness in the middle of a song. And that's what I just love about his compositions. They can be so beautiful. And even though you think you've heard him for years and years and you've heard all that he can possibly churn out, till date, when he writes something like Someone's Watching Over, it's different, right? Yeah. It's just different.
Even 99 songs we were just hearing in the car.
So beautiful.
We messaged him like spontaneously just the minute that same night. We just hearing the whole album like on repeat in the car.
Wow.
And,
it's just melodic geniusness. I think.
Wow. And what sort of an impact has he had in the way you create music? Maybe B, you can answer that first, and then
I think for me, because I've always come from a very Western music background, it's been like a change for me while I'm writing to also have some sense of Indianness in my music. And I feel that I think what you could really learn from AR is the fact that he's also grown up on all those kind of influences, right? All the Western influences. And even if he has to do a Western sounding song, there'll still be something about it that will be so Indian. Right. And that is something to be I'm really proud of. I mean, to see that in a musician that has so much passion for Western music, and yet be able to integrate the two styles so beautifully that they just sound like one. It's not like, okay, this is the Western part and this is the Indian part. So I just love the way he fuses together those two styles. And I think that's something that I can learn when I create music.
Amazing. So very well said. And Clint, obviously I've worked with Sir since the very early stages. And something that I want to narrate to you, I think this was probably in 2000, I think, just probably months before I boarded the flight to Australia to study. Alaipai they released. And obviously in the first version, the first release, the Entrant Rumpunnagai didn't come out. And it was in the second release of the cassette then, yes. And I was crazy over that song. And then you know where I'm getting to. And I obviously went back to the music store to get that cassette because of that one song. It was so addictive. And you were obviously in it. I'm sure that must bring back some memories.
Yeah, so the memory that it brings back is the fact that I sang that to just a click track, that song.
Oh.
Just a click track and a pad, literally. There was no production, there was no track. I sang that song to a click track and a pad, and which is why I always feel that the next time I heard that song in its current state, in its finished state, was after it released.
Oh.
And I heard it on my computer, or like literally like any other music listener. I don't know, we had like Napster. I don't know what we used to have at that time. Some music, one of these the earlier. Probably Napster. I don't know what, but I just remember hearing it for the first time after it released, with this whole hip hop kind of groove on it and everything. And then I found out from AR when I met him next, that he just recorded me on a click and whatever, and then sent it to Praveen Mani. So Praveen thought of this whole idea of this bass line and everything and put it down, and it was like, I'm obviously AR worked on it a little later after that. But it was so surprising to have, because I always feel that, even to date, I feel that I'm singing that song very behind the beat, you know what I mean, like you're not on top of the beat. And I felt like if I had only had that groove in my cans, I would have sung that song very differently. But yet all the fans don't know this, but they think that behind the beat thing is a part of the feel of how I sang, but it's not true. It's because I didn't hear any groove. I was not hearing any groove.
Wow.
It's actually just because I only had a click track to work with.
That's such a crazy story.
Yeah. So I always, whenever I hear it, I feel like it's always a little behind for me. I want to push the beat forward slightly, like in my singing.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything about it. It's really,
It's too late. The fans love it.
yeah, I know. It's so funny, right?
Yeah. And also the other track in the same album, Pachai Nirame.
Yes.
And we specifically spoke about your parts in that track. When I say we, it was myself and Shweta Mohan in her podcast. And she said the nuances in that track, especially when your part comes out and things like that, we as fans look forward to the tiny nuances, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And have you got any memories of that particular track?
I just have great memories of sitting in the studio while Hari ji was learning his bits, and my bits were a lot more fluid at that point, and I remember sitting waiting for him to finish his dub, and after he finished his dub, I think it was maybe like by the time I actually had to go on the mic, it was 2:33 in the morning, and yeah, like literally, I mean, and AR was in his prime at that time, in those days. At 2:33, he would be like
like it's 8 in the morning.
Oh yeah, all his creative juices flowing, and so he would so he just kind of this melody which had the lyrics. That's the only thing that was like concrete in the song. Everything else was fluid. So he just told me, just sing something like on this part, sing something on that part. Okay, now harmonize it. And I used to write my own harmonies at that time, just deliver them. And I think by the end of it, he would always end up leaving the session before it was finished. So it was like, okay, it's sounding great, bye. And you know what I mean? And I would be like, the song is not over, but I mean, obviously, so he would want me to continue with the engineer and keep putting whatever parts I wanted down. So by then I kind of figured it out, like once we started doing a lot more work together, I didn't even need him around. I would just do my thing, and it would be like, he would deal with all those files later. Once one funny thing happened. We were working on a film. I remember Pukar. So for the score of Pukar, and he was doing like some 3-4 background scores at that point.
Yeah.
And I called my wife Dominique as well to come to Chennai, because I used to be there sometimes for 8-10 days in a row and doing different things and different pieces of music and all that. So I called her in for just one day because I wanted to stack some major tracks of vocals for the score of Pukar for one scene, and one very important scene in the like the last reel or second last reel or something. And I remember all night, literally from maybe from 8 or 9 in the night till 7 in the morning, just doing vocal layers on that track. Okay.
Oof.
Layer after layer, writing like some gibberish German, like to give it like a very military feel and all that, but just layers, like literally 12 hours of just vocal work. And now, okay, this is done, right? Cut to maybe 7-8 months later, I was in Chennai for something else, and that day nothing was happening because it was Friday, and generally on Fridays, because of the namaz, not much work happens at Panchatan. So I was also just chilling on a Friday evening, and Noel calls me up, and Noel James, who was AR's manager at that time, he said, "What are you doing? Are you doing anything?" So, and I'm just hanging out in the hotel. So you want to come for the premiere of Pukar premieres, and you worked on it and all that. So come. I said, yeah, okay, sure. I don't have any clothes. I mean, like premiere type clothes. No, it's okay. Just come. It's fine. So I went, and it was a small preview theater. There was a screening and all that. And now that part is coming, that section where I remember, I worked on a lot of other bits of the film, but specifically that part I was waiting for, where we did all these incredible vocal layers, and that scene plays, and I'm just staring at the screen, and I can't hear anything, and there's no that piece is completely different. It's a completely different piece. So there's no semblance of that. So I was like, what just happened? I was confused. So then and I couldn't meet AR at that point. So later, back in the studio in the night, when I met AR, I said, "What happened to that piece that we did?" And remember, I recorded with Dom. We did like 8 hours, 12 hours of vocals, and like saying, "Oh, like he was like, you did that piece? Shucks, I forgot. It's still on the hard disk." Still on the hard disk. Means what? It's still on the hard disk.
Oh shit.
I mean, it's still on the hard disk. So basically, he had forgotten that he had asked me to do that piece.
Oh no.
He had probably asked somebody else, thinking that piece was unfinished, and he had probably asked someone else to finish that piece because that was still on the hard disk. So the funny thing is, he said, "No, don't worry, it's a background score. We'll use it somewhere else. We can always use it somewhere else. It'll never be wasted. It's fine." So
And did you end up using it or what?
I'm not sure, frankly.
Who knows, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll send this clip to Sir and ask him, Sir.
Yeah, send it. He I'm sure he'll remember this.
I'll CC you.
But it was superb. It was superb. That's AR for you, and is the brilliant genius
Brilliant mind,
that he like he's got so much going on at any given point. I don't blame him. I mean, especially that time and during that period, it was like the work used to be insane. I remember him standing in the room in the top studio once when I just entered, and that room was filled with programmers, and like literally filled. There was no space to stand.
Wow.
And he was right in the middle of that space, handing out cues to different programmers and giving them melodies to work on and whatever. And there were 4 films happening at the same time.
Wow.
And he was actually literally scoring all of them at the same time. I was okay. But yeah, so there was some really, really nice funny moments also. Yeah.
And anything that comes to your mind. I mean, of course, Sir has a very wicked sense of humor. Anything that comes to your mind with any of the jokes that he may have cracked, and then you'll be like, "Hey, is this for real? Is this really you cracking it?" I'm sure there must be moments.
Yeah, there were. I can't remember them, but I'm sure Clint has way more memories of it than I do.
One was a lot of funny. I mean, it was actually just not really. I don't think he was cracking a joke or anything, but once I remember this really amazing story, which was that Marius De Vries, the great producer, was in Chennai.
Yeah.
Marius De Vries and Andy Bradfield, and they were there for Bombay Dreams.
Yeah.
And I got called to Chennai to work on Bombay Dreams, and I didn't know what project I was working on, frankly, actually. So the funny thing is that I went there in the morning. I took a morning flight, which is quite a change because I would always take the evening flight and we would work through the night. So I was wondering why I was taking the morning flight, and I think Noel said that it's because some people from abroad are here and AR is working on according to their schedule and all that stuff. So I said, okay. So when I meet him, I reach the studio, I meet him in the corridor. He says, just go upstairs to the upstairs studio and Morris will play you the track. So I said, Morris, I don't know who Morris was. I thought maybe Morris was a new engineer that was in the studio. And I went up and I opened the door and I see Marius De Vries and Andy Bradfield. And I was like, and I just, Marius De Vries had just done Bjork's Vespertine and all at that time. And he's one of the, like, probably of the hottest producers, music producers in the world at that point. Literally, he had just finished Moulin Rouge, and for me though, I was like really into producers at that time, and I just saw him and I said, this is not Morris, this is Marius. This is like, I was like, this is the Marius. I was like, and I was like, how could AR not tell me this? He should have said Marius De Vries. Like, I mean, like, had little excitement on his face. He just said Morris would play the track, and it's like, he was just like so matter of fact, right? So because and I also asked him like, but you should come up, because I was so used to him not being there. I said you should just come up with me and just run the track with me. Must tell me what you want, then I'll take it from there.
Yeah.
So he was like, no, Morris is the producer on this. So I was like wondering which Morris is the producer. And then when I opened the door, suddenly the penny dropped. First of all, at that time, he had just got this new Euphonics, like 72 channel Euphonics console.
Yeah.
So that was freshly installed in the studio. So I see this massive desk and I see Marius De Vries behind the desk.
Wow.
And the room has been transformed. And there's a Dutch producer sitting at the console with Andy Bradfield also, who had just done like Shades, and I mean like done a lot of stuff at that point. And so I recognized them both instantly, right? And so I go up to him and I said, Marius De Vries, right? Like, so he was like, yes, with that thick Dutch accent of his. He was really surprised that somebody knew him, like, other than AR, someone knew him there, because and I was like, oh my god, I'm just like
and he started rattling off all the names of all the
artists. I love your stuff with Massive Attack, with Bjork, and this song and that song. I started talking to him about it, and he was like, wow, he was super flabbergasted that someone knew his music in such detail.
Oh my god!
And he was saying, because all I've been doing since I've come here is avoiding cows and killing mosquitoes. So he was actually genuinely surprised that somebody knew his music in such detail. And the funny thing was then that evening, that night, when I go down, I'm sitting with AR in his room, in the other room. He tells me, you know what, he's just done Moulin Rouge. So I said, sir, Moulin Rouge is just the half of it. You don't know what else he's done. Do you have any idea? Let me tell you. So I was telling him of everything that he's done. So AR was like, yeah, he's done this also. Oh, he's done that also. Actually, I didn't know all this. Just Andrew just called me up saying that there's a friend of mine. He really wants to work with you.
Oh my god!
So he said Andrew Lloyd Webber. He means Andrew Lloyd Webber. So Andrew Lloyd Webber calls AR up and says, I have a friend who's really dying to work with you, and please work with him. And that friend happens to be Marius De Vries, the best producer in the world, and the best producer in the world is dying to work with AR, and AR doesn't know who he is. Amazing.
Wow.
So this is what happened, and that's how Marius was on the project.
Wow. I love it. I love this one. Yeah. And also I'm pretty sure with all the work that you've done with AR sir, 9 out of 10 of them would have been in the night. Is that something that
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. I didn't want to say that. I just thought I'll give room for something. How do you operate, Clint?
Must have been the 10% that.
Yeah, maybe. Not even 10%. It's only 1%.
1%, sorry, the 1% time that he
Sir
worked
will
in.
kill me if he sees this.
Yeah, but that's his thing, right? He loves working in the night. That's his his
prime
whole
time.
sleep cycle is like that. So everyone kind of has to work at that time.
And you may be anybody, but
anyone,
yeah,
everyone.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, that's the best part. That bench outside the studio, Panchatan, is the most democratic bench in the world. You could be the president, or you could be like, everyone has to sit on that one bench and wait for him.
Yeah, business meetings.
I've sat on that bench with like Ashutosh Gowarkar, with Govind Nihalani, you name it, and I sat on that bench with them.
Oof.
The same bench.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how do you guys operate? Do you guys work in the night, or when does
No, not at all.
We like sleeping at night.
Yeah. Not you though, because you're an insomniac.
I know. I mean, I'm insomniac, but
you're awake, Clinton, because early in the morning when I send you a message,
I am awake. I'm always respond when you, like, I've been at 4 in the morning. You send me a message, but I don't work that late.
Is when you sleep, right?
I sleep by 4:35. But I'm doing other things. So maybe I'm working, but I'm working on my own. I'm not working in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the night, or sometimes I'm listening to something that I need to listen to, or those in that respect I do work sometimes at night.
But otherwise,
But
on our
mostly
stuff,
unwinding at that point.
on our stuff, we usually work in the afternoons. That's the
Afternoon, I mean, and all the way to
through
night.
to early evening. Yeah.
Is that a conscious shift in the working pattern that has happened, or has it always been like this?
No, it's always been like this for us.
It's
We've
been like
never-
this also
unless there's a
because-
particular project that's
Yeah, sometimes we
keeping
have
us
to work late.
yeah, burning the midnight oil. Otherwise, we pretty much wrap up by
By 10,
let's
I
say
think.
9, 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
10 is quite late anyway for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And look, coming towards the end of the podcast, and I'm not sure if you realize we've gone like 1 hour, 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Really? I didn't realize.
Didn't it feel like? So, I mean, I'm pretty sure we have so many other topics to talk about, but I definitely want to bring you back into what's called Podcast 2.0. We touch on so many other topics and we go deep into detail. But before that, before I let you guys go, there's this one thing that one of your fans messaged me early this morning, and he said, please ask Clinton sir about LA concert and any memories that he can share, because that's a very special concert for me. So, Clint.
How sweet. Well, I mean, that was a lovely trip actually. I just remember the fact that it was that AR used to kind of make every hotel suite his studio during the week, because we used to have concerts only on weekends, right?
Yeah.
And I remember Saira coming to Universal Studios with us because her husband was too busy to take her.
Sweet.
So she was like, she just wants to hang out with us, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got too much work going on. So she came with us to Universal. She's a sweetheart, just and I remember that AR would always have this this thing where he would, like, the first time he heard something at a rehearsal or whatever, he would like tell you whether you were whether he liked it or didn't like it or whatever, so that was really, I mean, you really had to wait for him to actually have that clarity. But when he did, it was like very, very clear that that he really likes something or he doesn't like something, and you immediately change it. I mean, that there was so much happening at that time, at that point in his life, but yet when he came into the room, and he kind of shut all that stuff out, and he was just there, and he was just listening to what you were doing, and he was just listening to, he would that's the thing. I mean, I realized how much stuff he had going on back then, and how compartmentalized his mind would have had to be able to like to have producers and like movie producers and directors following you in every city of the concert, just so that they can work with you during the week. So they would literally catch the flight and tail him on every city, from like San Francisco to LA, from LA to New York to New York to whatever. So they would literally take the same flights as him and just be there in every city so that they could get their work done.
Insane. Wow. That's insane.
So, and yet when he would come for rehearsal and when he would just be there, be really present, he was like that. All that stuff didn't matter.
Wow. Amazing. I'm actually visualizing as you're describing. It's crazy.
That's so
amazing.
cool.
I remember, in fact, another thing is for the LA concert was we had Stomp performing with us. The band,
wow.
the crew of Stomp.
Wow.
The ensemble Stomp. That was a really hot show at that time in New York. And so Stomp was doing this whole major segment in the show where they go out into the one ramp with the crowd, engage the crowd, and like doing all this thing with the brooms. So one rehearsal, we were I think in San Francisco, we were like all in this rehearsal hall, and AR was delayed because of he was stuck in the studio with Shankar, the director Shankar, I think at that time. So we were all waiting, and Stomp did this whole impromptu performance just for us.
Oh
just because they also were bored. And and
you guys.
they got like buckets and whatever they could find there in that rehearsal place, in that
nuts.
hall. They like benches and stuff, and they did these routines. They were
Wow.
just doing these routines, intricate stuff, rhythmically and all that, and just with all, whatever props they also had carried for their own performance. They were doing this just at rehearsal. It was amazing.
You guys are so lucky.
yeah.
Crazy. Love it. Amazing. So, guys, lastly, a message for Sir via this podcast, both of you individually. I know you can always give him a call and tell him whatever you feel like, but via this podcast, a message, and I'll share this clip to Sir.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Yeah, up to you.
Okay,
Maybe.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Sorry, the boys have a idea.
Look into the camera.
Either of us, though, no?
Yeah, you start.
Okay. Hi, AR sir. This is Bianca. Thank you for constantly inspiring us with your music. Everything that you do, everything you say, we will treasure it. And I can't tell you how fortunate I feel to have worked with you. And I'm looking forward to many, many more.
Beautiful. I'm sure that's going to come true.
Yeah.
Mr. Clint.
AR, I want to tell you that you have no idea how much you have impacted me as a musician, as a human being, and I think as a mentor. It meant the world to me when you actually came for the launch of Jugni, and you were the one who said, you know what, let's not focus on me right now. Let's call the musician, the man of the hour, the composer of this film on stage, and I'll never forget it. That's just one thing, but all the moments that we spent in Panchathan, all the times when you were just chilling with me and whatever, those times are kind of hard to forget, and I don't think I'll ever forget them. Even ordering for hot idli sambar at 5 a.m. after working all night with you from Saravana Bhavan, because you could not take the car and go to Saravana Bhavan and eat because you would be mobbed by people there, and I would be able to go alone and sit and eat there, but you could not go, so we had to order food for you. I remember that also. I remember all the things that we did. I remember just you sitting and playing that Rhodes in that parlor outside the ground floor studio before it got revamped, in when that Rhodes used to be there. And I remember once falling asleep playing that Rhodes piano, and just waking up realizing that my head was like tilted back and you were sitting right opposite me and laughing, and then when I woke up you said you're sleepy or what, and it was like 5 a.m. I said, of course I'm sleepy, it's 5. And so things like that. And I mean, I there's so many things I can say besides this, but I want to tell you that you mean the world to me as a musician, and I really love you.
Wow. And we guys love you too, Clint and B.
Oh, thank you so much for having us on this.
I'm so thrilled. I'm so happy that you guys came on the podcast, and thanks for supporting my special tribute journey for Sir. And this has no returns, no monetization whatsoever, and it's just done just purely out of love for Sir. And then you guys came in and you're supporting me in this journey, so it's amazing.
Wonderful. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. And so lastly, before I let you go, let's take an e-selfie. So you guys can stay as you are. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then funny one. Funny face. However you want to pose. Let's see how Clint poses.
No. I'm not good at funny faces. Okay.
Let's just do something.
Okay, chal.
I love it. I love it. Guys, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. This was
so much fun. I still have so much to talk, but I'll leave that for podcast 2.0, and we'll meet in a couple of months for sure.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Making time, especially in your very, very busy schedule. Clint, I really, really appreciate and thankful from the bottom of my heart. And as a little thank you, I'd like to send over t-shirts just as a little thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Please flick over your address and I'll send it over this week.
Yes.
Thanks so
I'll ask
much.
Renee to send it to you.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Great.
Thank you so much once again.
So much.
you so
All the
much.
best to you.
All the
Thank
best.
you. Bye, Clint. Bye, V. See you later. Bye.